You don't notice it happening at first. Not because you're careless and not because you're unaware, but because the system shaping your behavior operates quietly, consistently, and without ever asking for your attention. It doesn't arrive as a disruption. It doesn't feel like an invasion. It doesn't announce itself with warnings or alarms. Instead, it integrates itself slowly into your daily life, into your routines, into your habits, into the way you think, react, and move through the world. Over time, it becomes invisible precisely because it is always there. Every single day, your thoughts are being guided in subtle, almost imperceptible ways. What captures your attention? What fades into the background? What feels urgent? What feels unimportant? How long you can remain patient before irritation appears? How quickly restlessness replaces calm? How often you feel the need to check, switch, or escape? None of this feels forced. That is the most important detail. If it felt forced, you would resist it. If it felt obvious, you would question it. If it felt external, you would push back. But it doesn't feel like control. It feels like preference. It feels like habit. It feels like choice. You believe you're checking your phone because you want to relax. You assume your attention drifts because you're tired or overstimulated. You tell yourself you struggle with focus because you lack discipline, structure, or motivation. You internalize the problem. But what if that explanation is incomplete? What if your brain isn't broken at all? What if it's responding exactly the way it was trained to respond? Modern environments don't shape behavior through authority or pressure. They don't rely on rules or commands. They shape behavior through rhythm, through repetition, through constant exposure, through low-level stimulation that never fully stops long enough to be questioned. Your brain evolved to monitor what might matter next. What could be rewarding? What could be dangerous? What might require immediate attention? This system once helped humans survive in environments filled with uncertainty and real threats. It kept people alert. It kept them responsive. It kept them alive. Today, that same system is being activated almost constantly, even when no actual danger exists. Notifications interrupt your thoughts before they fully form. Endless feeds remove natural stopping points. Autoplay eliminates the moment where choice might occur. Algorithms quietly decide what deserves your attention next, without ever revealing their logic or intention. This doesn't feel threatening. It feels normal. It feels like the background noise of modern life. And because it feels normal, it goes unquestioned. Over time, something subtle begins to shift inside you. Stillness starts to feel uncomfortable, as if something is missing. Silence begins to feel awkward, even unsettling. Depth feels slow, even when you crave meaning. Moments without stimulation begin to feel empty rather than restful. Not because you lost the ability to focus, but because your nervous system adapted to an environment that rarely allows rest. Most people believe dopamine is the chemical of pleasure. That belief is widespread, and it sounds reasonable, but it is deeply misleading. Dopamine is not released when you feel satisfied. It is released when you anticipate something. It is the signal that tells your brain to lean forward, to stay alert, to keep checking, to keep waiting. It does not reward satisfaction. It rewards expectation. This mechanism once helped humans search for food, safety, and connection. Today, it keeps attention locked into endless anticipation. Your brain isn't asking whether something is meaningful. It's asking whether something might happen next. And when next is always available, attention begins to fragment. Each time you switch tasks, glance at a screen, or respond to a notification, your brain pays a cost. Not dramatically. Not in a way you immediately notice, but cumulatively. At first you barely feel it. Later you experience it as mental fatigue, then as impatience, then as a vague sense of restlessness that never fully disappears. You may find it harder to sit with a single idea, harder to read without interruption, harder to stay present without reaching for stimulation. Focus becomes fragile, patience erodes, boredom becomes increasingly difficult to tolerate. This is where the darker pattern begins to take shape. You're not addicted to pleasure. You're addicted to relief. Relief from boredom. Relief from silence. Relief from being alone with your own thoughts for too long. That relief is brief. It is incomplete. It is temporary. But it interrupts discomfort just enough to feel necessary. So you check again. You scroll again. You refresh again. Not because it fulfills you, but because it postpones unease. Over time, your brain recalibrates its baseline. What once felt engaging now feels dull. What once felt meaningful now feels slow. What once held your attention now struggles to compete. In response, you increase the input without fully realizing what you're doing. More content, more noise, more stimulation layered on top of stimulation. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you lose the ability to stay with a single thought long enough for it to deepen, mature, or turn into insight. This loss doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't feel like collapse. It feels like mild dissatisfaction becoming normal. At this point, many people turn inward. They blame themselves. They assume they're lazy, undisciplined, or broken. They push harder, believing discipline is the solution. But willpower fails here for a simple reason. You're not fighting a habit. You're pushing against an environment designed to keep you slightly restless and slightly unsatisfied. An environment that benefits when your attention remains fragmented, when your focus never fully settles, when satisfaction always feels just out of reach. Trying to out-discipline that system is like trying to outrun gravity using effort alone. The problem isn't that you lack control. The problem is that your nervous system adapted. And adaptation is powerful. But adaptation isn't permanent. Your brain isn't broken. It learned a pattern. And patterns can change, not through force or suppression, but through awareness. Awareness of what captures your attention. Awareness of how quickly you escape boredom. Awareness of how rarely you allow your mind to remain still without reaching for stimulation. This awareness isn't judgment. It isn't criticism. It isn't self-blame. It's observation. And observation changes things. When the mechanism becomes visible, it begins to lose its power. You stop blaming yourself for struggling inside a system that profits from distraction. You stop interpreting restlessness as a personal failure. You stop believing that something is inherently wrong with you. Not for instant transformation, not for dramatic overnight change, but for something deeper, the ability to pause, the ability to notice before reacting, the ability to remain present long enough for discomfort to pass without immediately escaping it. Boredom, once avoided, becomes information rather than a threat. Silence becomes a space instead of a void. In that stillness, something important begins to return. the ability to follow a thought to its end, the ability to experience satisfaction without constant stimulation. Real choice doesn't come from consuming more content or chasing productivity. It comes from understanding what you're responding to and why. That understanding doesn't fix everything immediately, but it changes the direction you're moving in, and direction matters more than speed. If this video caused you to question what feels normal, if it helped you see your habits with greater clarity, that awareness alone already places you ahead of most people. Psychology Decoded exists to reveal the systems shaping human behavior beneath the surface, not to scare you, not to manipulate you with fear or urgency, but to help you see clearly in a world that quietly benefits from keeping you distracted. If that kind of understanding matters to you, support the channel by subscribing and liking the video.